creative friends. This is Joy. So I am continuing to create things to build up my stash so that whenever I go to work on projects, I have a stash of things to pull from and to choose from for different projects. So today I am working on words, and so I've got this stamp block that's got a bunch of different like words and stuff on it. Then there's some things on this block that I want to print. And so I've got these scrap pieces that were left over from when I did a bunch of jelly prints to build up my stash of jelly print papers that I figured I could use that to print, stamp words on. And so this block has words like believe and imagine and create. So I am just trying to ink up the individual words that I am wanting to take a print of, and then putting a piece of paper down and of course another piece so I don't get ink all over my hands, and then taking a print of the word. So that's what I'm doing here, using different, I was using a larger, the big ink pads, but then I thought, well, wait a minute, I've got these little tiny ones that I can use. It might work a little bit better, be a little bit easier. Yeah, you see there, hope. And so I tried to take several prints of several of the words on this block that I wanted to have in my stash so that whenever I'm creating something and I decide that, I want to add a word or something to it, then I can just, look in my stash of words and pull something from there. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing, is just playing around, um, stamping a bunch of words that I can use. So I'm just looking and see, is there any other words here that I want to print? And I decided that no, I'm good with, the ones that I got. And so here's another stamp, excuse me, stamp set with some words that I wanted to print. And so I've got a, block, and I'm pulling off the ones that I want to stamp. And I'm using StazOn ink because I want to be able to, when I use these, be able to like glue these down and not have the ink run. So I'm using different colors. I'm using black, I'm using brown, and then you'll see me using some red. And as you can see, it's not stamping as cleanly as I would like. And so I grabbed this pad. Sometimes it helps to have a little bit of padding underneath when you're doing a stamping, if you want a cleaner image, so that there's a little bit of give when you stamp onto the paper. And so I was able to get a much cleaner and better image when I got the pad. And so I had to put a piece of paper underneath so that I don't get my pad all inked up. But yeah, I'm just using the different stamps again to just stamp a bunch of different words in different colors, just so that I have a bunch of these in my stash. There's nothing more deflating than seeing, a project someone's done, or a project that you're wanting to do that you're thinking of doing, and then, thinking, well, shoot, before I can do this project, I got to do this and I got to do that. I got to prepare all the stuff that I'm going to need for the project. And it's like you see other people doing projects and they've got like this stash of like papers and things to pull from, and I don't have that. Um, so I've kind of been on a kick here lately to go through and build up my stash so that whenever it comes to actually creating a project or working on a project, then I have stuff to pull from, and I'm not like deflated thinking, well, it's going to take me forever because before I can even create this project, I got to do all these other things. So I did a bunch of coffee dyed papers, and I did a bunch of jelly print papers, and here again, I'm just stamping a bunch of words. So I'll have words that I can use in projects. whenever I need them. And here's another one. I really like this one and some of the words on it. And I decided instead of stamping them individually, like I was doing, that heck, I like everything on this one, so I'm going to just stamp the whole thing. So I grab the paper, and it says artist drawing paper, but it reminds me of like newsprint. So I don't know. It's kind of thin, but it's really kind of nice paper for using. You know, I used some of this paper when I was doing the jelly prints and stuff, and so I just decided I'm going to stamp the whole thing, and I used the block to kind of add pressure evenly across the whole thing. I did one print in brown, and I'm doing one print in black, or I did the first print in black, and I'm doing one in brown. Um, and I figured that the words are far enough apart to where I can just tear this into pieces. And so, yeah, that's what I decided to do. Just stamp the whole thing down, and then I can always, you know, divide the pieces up. And the very bottom there didn't stamp as well. So I decided to ink it up and try again, and tried to get it in the same spot. It wasn't quite in the same spot, but you know what? It's fine. I'm not going to stress over it. Good enough. It's good enough. Nothing's ever perfect. And I don't really clean my stamps. I know some people do, and a lot of people swear by cleaning. I don't know. I don't clean them. So here I'm just going through now and separating all the pieces, all the words from each other, and I'm not going to bore you with doing all of the tearing apart. And I do the same with this big stamped image. And like with that one stamp in the beginning that had all the words on it, it's, you know, instead of, I could have just stamped that whole thing and then just tore out the individual words that I wanted from it, but there was a lot of words and things on there. There was only a few words that I really wanted, and so I thought, well, I'm not going to stamp the whole thing when I just want a few of the words. So that's why I did it, where I just inked up the word and then took a, you know, print of it. And here there's a couple of phrases in this stamp set, so I kind of put those aside because I'm like, well, I kind of like the phrase, you know, I might want to use the phrase as is, like you see there where it says live a simple life. I may decide to use that phrase, you know, somewhere. And then some of the, you know, words were easy to, you know, separate out and just have, you know, as separate words. So that's why I'm putting the individual words in the one pile with my other words that I stamped out, and then putting the phrases in a separate pile, just, you know, so I know, okay, these are words and these are phrases that I can pull from. So that's what I'm doing here, and just dividing this all up. And again, you know, thankfully there was enough space between these lines of words or text where I could do that. And here is another idea: is you can find free printables online. Like this one here, I actually did myself. I was working on a project and I needed certain words that I wanted to use, so I just created a list of words and did it in different fonts. And then this here page that I'm cutting up was a free printable I got online. I've had it for God knows how long, and I just never bothered to do anything with it. I guess I thought, you know, that if I ever needed any of the words, I would just cut out those words. But since I'm doing this and trying to build up a stash of words, I thought, well, let me go ahead and cut these up, and that way, you know, I have them already cut up and ready to go whenever I need to, you know, use them. And here is my stash of words and phrases, and this is all from magazines that I've been collecting over the years. So this is one of the things that I did have in my stash, was, you know, a bunch of words and phrases from magazines that I've used in the past, but I've been wanting to, you know, add all of these to it, so I have others to pull from. And so here I just have this little Ziploc baggie that's for like jewelry or ATC cards. And so I decided to They'd be the perfect size for some of these words because I don't want them to get lost if I throw them in my stash of, words and phrases from magazines. So I'm putting them in individual baggies. And then these other ones I'm going to stick in a couple of vellum bags that I have. And these, the little Ziploc baggies and the vellum bags I just got off of Amazon. And so they would be, figured they'd be perfect for storing my stamped images and my other words in. And you could see through the bag, see what's in them. And so that's pretty much, and I stick them in my box. So that's pretty much what I did today. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.